What's up, everyone? Jeremy back again with another podcast for the 40-hour block. I have the honor and privilege to interview someone today that I'm very excited to talk to. I basically inherited her as a daughter, and I think she's one of the best humans I've met. And she has a great story. Like I said, I'm married to her mother. This is her oldest daughter, and she has a son. We're not gonna bring up his name, but he's basically he is my grandson, and I think it's a cool. I think it's just awesome how I've gotten to know her and everything she's given to me in my life and my family. So without further ado, here's Irish. Hi,
Hi.
Irish.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
You
How are
okay?
you? I'm fine. I'm good.
Hey, if you could speak a little bit closer to your mic, I don't know if it's on that thing or what. All right, yeah.
Oh yeah, I have my earpods in.
How was your
Hello.
day today?
It was good. I went to work and then I rushed home to do this, but I got off
Okay,
early, so it's
I know you've been waiting for it. So, um, all right. So I already introduced you kind of, but I've already talked to you a lot about what I'm doing with my channel. This
hmm
is part of it. It's called the 40-hour block. We are the middle class America that they deemed in the 20s that 40 hours, well, we needed to work. And we make up the majority of America, but people forget about us. We get all these podcasters or millionaires, and we can't relate to these people.
right.
You have a very interesting story, and like I said in the introduction, I'm married to your mother. You're my daughter, and I'd like to know. I know you, but I don't know you, and this is a good
Mm,
opportunity to understand you and everything like that, and everything that you went through.
right.
And this is from your perspective, right? I always tell people, like, if there's two people involved, there's that
hmm
person, there's, like, for example, us, it'd be my truth, your truth, and the truth, right?
hmm
So i'd like to know I'd like to know you better. Okay, so
Right.
just if you want to start off, like, who are you, and like where you were born at and how you grew up.
Okay. My name is Irish. Like Jeremy said, I'm his stepdaughter, but I'm 23. I'll be 24 at the end of this month. Like you said, I have a son. I'm a single mother. Uh, I grew up in San Diego, California, with two-parent household. I grew up with a brother, sister. Um, Moved around a little bit because I was kind of an army brat. Um, and then I joined the military right after high school.
Okay, so let's go into how you grew up. So since you're the oldest, right? I explained that in the
All right.
introduction. I
Mhm.
know me and your mother talked about in the past that you guys basically lived in Section 8 housing in the ghetto.
Yeah.
Do you remember how it was, or can you explain anything like that? Like where it was at?
Um, I don't know. I know like metal brick apartments. That's what the apartments were called, but I don't remember like anything about it being well, no, that's a lie. Being a bad area. Like I remember as a kid, my parents wouldn't want us to play outside because I don't know, there's a lot of bad shit that went on around there, or like the area we lived in. There was just always cops being called for whatever reason. Um, Even like outside the apartments, the area was really bad. You have a lot of homeless people. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a good area.
Yeah, every time your mom talks about it, I always feel so bad, but like I didn't grow up in the ghetto, but I mean around here, you've been
Mhm.
here. Obviously, it's pretty ghetto. We're not going to talk about where it's at, but
Right. Yeah.
so so what was it like growing up as the oldest child? We're not going to talk about when your mom joined the military, so we'll get into that later. But talk about up until that point, living in those. Were you in a did you have your own room, or did y'all share a room? Like, how
Mhm.
did it work?
Mhm. Growing up, we lived in those apartments up until like she joined, so that was about like 11 years of my life. Um, I remember when I was super young. my mom, dad, and then, like, all my siblings shared a room, so it was 5 of us to a room, and then we would have, like, our own bed, but, yeah, it was just all of us to one room, and then I think, um, we got a little bit older, and then we moved apartments, so, uh, we had our own room, like, the kids had their own room, and my parents had their own room, but it was still basically 3 of us to a room, so me, my brother, and my sister all sharing a room, up until I was about, like, 11 or 12, but, yeah.
Okay. So, so your mother was a teen mother. People don't. I'm gonna say
Mhm,
that out here right now because obviously our age difference and then our age difference, like it's kind of self-explanatory. But
mhm,
how did you feel? So you said you were 11. How did you feel growing up with? So you were 3 when your mom was probably like 18, 19, I
mhm.
think.
Yeah,
So how did how
about
did
that.
you how did you feel up until like 10 years old? Like your mother was so young and like your living environment, how was it? Besides just sharing a room and stuff like that.
Um, I like, when you're young and you grow up in that kind of environment, it's just what you're used to. So, like, living luxury or living in a bigger house, like, that apartment was, like, what we were all used to and, like, what we grew up in, so, um, I was I didn't I don't know any other way of, like,
Right.
how
Yeah,
to
did
grow up
you
other than where we were.
right, so okay, so since you guys lived in a lower poverty home and everything like that, do
Mhm,
you how was your parents towards you like when you were in school? Because you were like a fifth grader before you guys moved out. We're not talking about duty station
mhm,
stuff, but we're gonna talk about like when you guys moved out. So like did
right.
your parents push you in school or how was it?
I don't think they pushed me because I like, throughout all of school, I would had really good grades already,
Okay.
and then I guess, like, when you didn't get a good grade, it was just, like, you were in trouble, but, like, you were expected to get good grades and nothing less, so, yeah.
Did so how was it being like the oldest child?
Um, Up until now,
No,
it's still, like, a
no,
lot of
we'll get into that later. But I mean, like, so up
okay.
until this point, right? Because at some point you had to realize that, like, hey, we're lowering in lower poverty, right?
Mhm,
So especially at
right.
like 10, 11, you're very aware, right?
Mhm,
You're pretty much aware like at 7 years old, but
right.
you said you're like, this is not what I know or whatever. But at 10, 11, you're like, oh, I know this is different. This is
Mhm,
not what we see on TV. This is not like the middle class area. So how did you feel
mhm.
with that?
Um, with that and being, like, an older sister, I always felt pressured to, like, do better. And, like, I told myself, like, "When I grow up, I wanna live like this. I have to do this so I can live like this." Basically, like, stay in school, because the only way I knew of, like, getting out of, like, that environment was going to school and then getting a good job. So, as a kid, like, and when I realized that I didn't wanna be in that environment anymore, I guess school was, like, my number 1 priority because it's
Right,
what was in my control, like, my good grades, and then staying on top of, like, what I needed to do, and then figuring out how I was gonna get us out of there, I guess,
right.
so, yeah, those good grades were, like, a
So
push
did
that
you
I had to
pressure
keep up with.
yourself?
Um,
I'm sorry, hold on. Let me rephrase let me say it again because I think we kind of stepped on each other. Did you pressure yourself into becoming this modeled sibling?
in a way, yes. I mean, my parents kind of, like, I don't know, I felt like they expected that out of me to be, like, a role model and to, I don't know, like, be an example for my brother and sister, but
Okay.
I would say, like, I did pressure myself a lot more than I had to or needed to, like, I was too tough on myself at a young age.
And why do you think that was?
Mm, it's being the oldest, and then, like, yeah, I had 2 siblings that looked up or were looking up to me, so, Um, when, because my parents, I don't think they both like went to college or anything,
Hmm.
so they didn't do any kind of schooling. So I I knew that, and it was like their jobs weren't the worst, they were jobs, but I pressured myself to set a higher standard for myself in a way.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And
To do better.
do you feel like this is because of so basically what you're saying is the environment has encapsulated you to be this person to not be in this environment anymore. And like I understand as children, right? We all talk about, oh, I want to buy my parents a house. I want to buy my parents a
Right.
car, right? So that's what I think
Mhm.
you're envisioning, and
Right.
it's part of being encapsulated in that environment, right? And
Right.
we'll get into later. I mean, how you basically, I would not say you're done with your story, obviously, but you have found some type of success getting out of that. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
all right. So, okay. So you mentioned that your mother's an army brat. I already know that, or you were an army brat, not your mother. Sorry about that. But
Mhm.
excuse me. Um, so her first duty station, right? She deployed, right? And
Yes. Mhm.
you're about what, 13,
Yeah,
or
about
12, 13?
12. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, and how did you feel when your mother deployed at you basically you're 13 years old? Like this is it, right? Everybody always talks about 13-year-old girls, right? This
Right.
is they're starting to enter that phase,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So how did you feel when your mother was gonna deploy?
Sad. Super sad. 'Cause, even though she joined, she, like, never been deployed before, but when she deployed, she was gone for what felt like forever and for almost a year. So I had to lean on my brother, sister, and dad. So we weren't like, none of us were used to her being gone for that long. Um, I think what was it? When she went to Other than when she went to boot camp and, school, that was, like after the deployment, that was, like, the longest we've been away from her. So, it took us a while to get used to, I know,
So
because,
let me go ahead.
she was like
Let me go ahead and paint the picture for everybody. So
Mhm,
everybody that doesn't know that watches this, the Army boot camp is roughly like 2.5 weeks, and then I think she went to school for about 2 months, and then
mhm,
um, and then she was probably at that duty station, from my memory, probably about 6 or 7 months before she left, right?
mhm,
So um, and then she was gone. So basically, this is the first time as the oldest child, right? Because y'all are the oldest childs are like we try everything out. We'll see if we're gonna make it,
right.
right? So
Yeah,
so I think you as a young teenager, girl without her mother for basically, I mean, you only saw her 6 months before and I know she went to training for a month, and I know it's got to be really tough on you because you leaned on your mom so hard and y'all were always together for so long, right?
mhm,
And I I mean, you held it together well, right? You can't say you didn't, but you guys all had what you had at the time, and this is all you knew,
right,
you know?
mhm.
So, how was the household when your mom was gone?
I feel like all of us were, like, trying to get used to her being gone, which we did after a while, but, like, dinner, she would cook dinner, but she wasn't there to cook dinner, so we'd have to just figure it out, but, I don't even think my dad cooked for us until she left, I think, 'cause he would make dinner, with school and everything, like, helping my brother and sister get ready, I think we went to different schools at the time. Yeah, I think we did, but, just helping them get ready with school or just stuff around the house that she would do, we would have to step up and do.
So, did you feel like you had to
But
grow up
yeah,
quickly because she left?
um, a little bit, but I wouldn't say quickly, but we just had to take on more responsibility, and then yeah.
So was the responsibility shared between you and your okay, so for everybody that's watching, her siblings are
Mhm,
just 1 year and then 2 years apart from her. So
mhm.
did you have to take on more responsibility? Was it expected or was it like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this and that?
Um, Between me and my sister, I think, like, it was expected. My brother was I don't know, he was still super young, but I don't even remember him cleaning a dish. So,
Okay.
at that age, at that time. But, like, laundry and everything, had to do our own laundry. Well, we were doing that before, but just housework and, just stuff that she normally do around the house. She was kinda
Right.
like the person, like, her everybody's comfort person. So after she
Yeah,
left, like, we didn't, like, have that anymore.
right. So how was everybody else's demeanor during this time?
Um, I knew I mean, it was hard for all of us, but my siblings and I think we got closer for sure because we would have to look to each other for anything. I think my dad took it the hardest because, like, they were married and, he also was trying to get used to what we were dealing with too. Like, we were all just trying to figure out how to live without her, basically. It was just all new to us, but I think my dad, um, had a hard time adjusting because, he was I don't know, he would be frustrated a lot because she was gone.
Uh,
It could be, like, a factor of things, but, um I remember, like, we would also, like, feel like he was frustrated, so it wouldn't make it, like, any easier on us while she was gone.
right. So he's basically taking
Yeah.
out his frustration. Would you say
Mhm.
in that he was taking out the frustration, you guys, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Um, yes. Yeah, I would say so. Because,
Yeah,
it should be little things that would set him off, and, like, we knew, like, it was hard for him, like, not having my mom there, but little things would set him off, and he would just, like, snap over the
right,
littlest things, even though,
right,
like, it could've had nothing to do with us.
right. But okay, all right. So how did that make you feel though? Did you feel like it was your fault that your mom left, or
I never thought that once, but, like, at the time, like, looking back at it, like, I didn't realize that, like, he was getting frustrated because he had so much going on, and it was looking at it now, it's like, "Oh, he was frustrated because of this, and that's why he acted that way." But, like, as a kid, you're just like, "Oh, he's getting mad at me because the dishes aren't washed." You know?
right? Yeah, I understand. Trust me, understand
Yeah.
still to this day. So okay, so your mom comes back 9 months later. Let's
Mhm.
fast forward. Let's get over that first duty station. Let's go to the second one, right? And
Alaska?
Alaska's,
Uh,
right? So
mhm.
you're gonna start entering high school, right? This is where
Right.
you like start.
Mhm.
This is where you start building your identity and
Mhm.
you start doing certain things. How did you? Well, first,
Right.
let's talk about how did you feel when your mom told you, "Hey, we're going to Alaska."
I did not wanna go. Well, because you make so many friends in school, right? So when she told us, I was kind of excited, but nervous because I was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna be moving again," but, um, I don't remember being too upset about having to go to Alaska because my parents were really excited about it, so I was like, "Okay." It
That's
probably
good.
won't be awful. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about when you entered high school. Like, how did you choose different friends, or did you gravitate towards people because of like what your last place, your last school was like, or what?
Right. Um, when we moved to Alaska, I remember, it was my freshman year, and I'm pretty sure we moved in the middle of a school year, and there's this high school called North Pole, North Pole High School, and that's where I went when we first moved there, and it was not easy, like, joining in the middle of the school year because everyone has their own friends and everything, everyone's used to, like, their schedules, but, um, I was, like, a loner in my freshman year. because of that. I made friends, but I wasn't not like anyone I was close with. I just had people I talked to every day, but at that high school, um, yeah, I didn't make any close friends, and then I moved to a different school my sophomore, senior year, and then from there, my friends kinda changed throughout, the years, 'cause I did cross country, so I made, like, cross country friends, and then, I had about, like, the same and I did choir, so I had choir friends too. I think up until senior year, like, my friend group kinda changed for a bit,
Yeah,
or not drastically, but it changed from the group of people I used to be friends with to who I was now hanging out with my senior year.
that's pretty crazy, right? How when you grow up, you kind of just gravitate towards certain people, huh?
Yeah,
Um,
right.
so I'm getting more in depth into your school years because one, you're really young still, and number two, I don't think people realize how difficult it is for some kids that their parents are in the military and they move. You know, and
Right.
that's why I was trying to get into your teenagers and stuff like this. So okay, so let's go into your senior year, right? I know you've told me this before, and um I know how hard it is as like, everybody thinks I mean, new people I meet think I'm old. I mean, you probably did too when you first met me, but I know how hard it is as a 17, 18-year-old, right? Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
pressure on you to do the right thing. You're gonna go to college. Oh, you better do something with your life, something, right?
right.
So, so I know we talked about this before, me and you, but we talked about how you felt so pressured in your house, right?
Right.
And can you expand on like how the pressure was coming on you and why was it all of a sudden? Did you graduate? Did you do something? You know what I mean? Actually like analyze like if you actually did something or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I guess there's so much pressure socially and then also at home. Like growing up, like um, it was a strict household, so like I would always have friends ask me to hang out on the weekends, but I couldn't hang out. So it's like you see all these kids you go to school with, like go hang out on the weekends, go to prom, do this, but I was just like at home when I could have been, well, when I wanted to hang out or go to football games, whatever.
Wait, you
Um,
didn't go to prom?
no, I didn't go to prom.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't go to
think
you didn't go to your homecoming or anything like that?
I went to homecoming, but it wasn't like a real like I didn't get to dress up or anything. I went to the football game, and then I think
Oh
we went to
wow.
prom. We went to prom was in my junior year, me and my sister, but something happened, so like I couldn't go the year after.
Like did the school shut it down or were you not allowed to go?
No, it was I was not allowed to go, and then the situation that happened my junior year at prom was the reason why we couldn't go in, or we didn't even bother asking, but, like, it was yeah.
Why did you feel like you couldn't ask?
Um, I don't know, just, like, it was so because with asking, like, the things that would run through my head, like, would stress me out more than, like, if I just asked, like, it would've been, like I don't know. It would've been way too much questions, and then it wouldn't have even been worth it because the times I have gone out and hang out with friends in high school, I always feel like I got home and then I wouldn't this is towards my senior year, so it was at the very end, but I wouldn't feel like it wasn't the right thing to do. Like, I would always feel, like, ashamed for going out instead of being with my family. Um, I never did anything bad to, like, break the trust between me and my parents, but, yeah, I was just always, like, too scared to ask because I knew if I did, um, it just wouldn't be worth, like, what came after, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you were overthinking a lot.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also knew, like, if I'm too scared to ask, like, to go see a freaking movie, like,
So
I just
that means
yeah.
something is this. Okay, so we need to expand on this, right? Because we're talking about the psychology of things, and so at some point during your life, right here, has made you this way, right?
Right.
So what was it?
Um, I think just my dad was super strict with us growing up, so we couldn't come to him, like, emotionally for anything, like, if I was feeling upset or something about whatever the situation was, like, it was just, "Oh" it was never said, but it was always like, "Deal with it on your own," or basically, like, too controlling to the point where everyone knows the rules and nobody or everybody knows, like, not to cross them, basically.
Right.
Um,
And
yeah.
and did you feel obviously this put you back a lot, right? Because I mean, I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine like even though I don't give a shit about high school anymore or whatever, but I couldn't imagine
Right.
not going to my prom or my homecoming. I mean, you excuse me, you met all my friends and like we're still the same friends, you
Yeah.
know, and
Mhm.
it's I could not imagine not experiencing that like as a teenager,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
as a senior in high school. Right now, you probably don't care, right? But back
Right.
then, you really cared,
Oh, yeah. Mhm. It would make me
and
so upset, and I would be jealous of people that I went to high school with because they could just do whatever they wanted to do. And I get being strict to an extent, like sleepovers and all that, like, I get it. But, like, for me and for us, I didn't yeah, like I said, I didn't do anything to break the trust of, like, my dad, so for me to feel like I miss out on the high school experience that I want, I knew it at the time, and it would bother me so much. I would yeah,
right,
cause my friends
yeah.
were always doing something or, like, I would always, like, wanna do something, but I would literally just be too scared to even bring it up because I
You,
knew the
was
answer.
it because like was it like anger that would come out with reaction? I mean, you don't got to get deep into it, but like if
Mhm.
you would ask a certain question, like would you be made to feel stupid or what was it?
That and it was like, I can't remember. I think one time when I went out and, I was with my friends, we just went to the mall, but I asked my mom and not my dad. So when I came home, he was just like I could feel, like, the tension already, and keep in mind, like, I all I went to was the mall. I can feel the tension, and this was my senior year, so I was, like, pushing
Hold
the
on one
limit.
second. Hold on. We're gonna set we're gonna set the scene here that the mall is like the size of a highway. Okay, so okay,
Okay.
but now, dude, that's not even a
Yeah,
highway. No, that's too big. Like a freaking hallway.
so
Dude, it's
it's
literally
not
a
even the
hallway.
size not even
It's
the
probably
size of a Walmart, it's smaller than that.
it's probably like 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So okay, but let's go ahead and let's go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. So
It's
you're at the
okay.
mall. You go back home.
Yeah.
You ask your mom. Okay, what happened? You got
I
home.
asked my mom, but, I didn't already ask my dad. I asked through my mom because I knew when everyone got home, my mom would tell him for me. I didn't wanna ask him directly, but, I think he made a comment like, "Oh, do you not like spending time with your family anymore?" Or just something like that, and basically, like, when I got back, like, it wouldn't even be worth it because I would feel Um, what is it? Like, I would be stressed out even when I was out, I'd be stressed out and be like, "Oh, I already know, like, since I'm out, I'm gonna get in trouble when I go home."
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question, and it's very deep. It's a very deep question. Okay,
Okay.
did you
Alright.
feel more that you had a lot of blame, or did you feel more loved?
Ooh, from my parents or,
Yeah,
just my
I'm talking
dad?
about from that. Okay, so we can talk about. So we'll talk about individually, right? Because there's a
Okay.
reason why you asked your mom, right?
Right.
Okay, so did
Right.
you feel more like? like blamed or loved? We can start with your mom first.
Okay. With my mom, love for sure. Um, separating the two of my parents, like I know they both have different parenting styles, but because my dad was like head of the household, it was one way and that's it. So my dad or my mom just went along with whatever my dad would want or say. Um,
Right.
but even though like he was strict towards us, like I knew I could tell my mom basically everything um about how and like how I felt about my dad or just like any situation I had, I could go to my mom and I wasn't scared to do that.
Was it more that you were so right there you just said something. You were not scared of your mom,
Mhm.
right? So was there a fear aspect behind it? Is it because it was the more it wasn't more physical trauma, more as it was mental trauma, right?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm. Right.
So that's why I asked the question, did you feel more blamed or loved? Right? And it's very important
Yeah.
because I think people don't understand like loving your kids, oh, I love you. It's such a cliche word, right? We say, oh, I love
Right.
you or whatever.
Right.
But like people don't realize the other. So how many times have you ever had a conversation and at the end of it you say, I love you? But
Mhm.
the words and the 10 minutes before that was all like, you do this, you're crap, you've done this,
Mhm.
So it's kind of like they're trying to cancel out what they demeaned you as before
Right.
with I love you, which is not,
Right.
to me, it's not, I mean, I've done it too before, so I can't say I'm perfect, but
Mhm.
saying it's not the right thing to do. You cannot just cancel out all the bad crap you've ever said with I love you.
Right. Mhm. Right.
And so I already know the answer right here. You basically just like told me the answers. Like you felt more,
Yeah.
you didn't feel loved by your dad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this was just like it was such a toxic environment. Like it would give you so much like emotional trauma, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. So, and I want to say this to people watching this video is that and you've heard me say this before is that everybody's heart is different, okay? And trauma is trauma, whatever you go through. It's whether it be emotional,
Mhm.
physical, you've experienced something. I mean, you don't even have to be hit or anything like that, but like just the mental abuse and then
Right.
it stays in your brain and then it follows you the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right, so let's get past this part. You're 18 years old now. You're gonna make a big decision in joining the Air Force, and why did you do this?
I joined because I didn't know what to do with my life. Just that simple. I knew before my senior year, I knew I wanted to go to college for criminal justice or whatever. But like I didn't have like a mentor in my life to tell me, "Oh, do this way," or like for any help basically with my future. So I was so stressed out with trying to figure out what I was going to do with high school because I felt like my number one goal my senior year was to just get out the house. And even though like I had no prior desire to join the military, I think my junior year I realized, oh, like since I don't know how to go to college, I don't know how to pay for college, I'll just join the military. Even though that wasn't on or that wasn't like my what I wanted to do after high school.
Right. So hold on, hold on. You just had me bring something up that I remember you telling me. How did it feel? So you wanted to get out of the house, right?
What was that?
You
Sorry.
wanted you wanted to get out of the house, and
Mhm.
I remember you telling me at some point you thought about running away.
Yeah.
Okay, it's we laugh about it now, but
Yeah.
but what happened? Like what? Like it was just so much toxicity, or like you just couldn't handle it anymore, or did you feel like what happened? Like this is important because like there's a
Right,
lot of I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women out there, not even just parents, right? Or like your parents and your childhood, but there's even I mean there's abusive relationships, right? And
right.
I know not just women but men too, but people want to get away from the
Mhm.
abusive relationship, right?
Right.
So like, but what was
Right.
going through your head? Like this was like your only way to escape, or what?
Yeah, with that, I think my senior year, like, I was just I don't know why it was harder than my all my other school years. I was pressured to just figure out what I wanted to do. And then, um, I think I what is it? I joined the debt program in my junior year, so I kinda had it I knew what I was gonna do after high school already. But that senior year of high school, I felt like the pressure got, like, even worse, and then, it was just I don't know, it was just too toxic for me, and I was just fed up, basically. Um, I think I don't know, I wanna say, like, I was picked on, but I always felt like the target of, like, whenever he would be frustrated, like, it was just always towards me for whatever reason. Or just saying, like, hurtful things to me for no reason. I remember even before I thought about join or running away, I think he got mad at me for not answering my phone call or my phone when he was out, and so, like, he I opened the garage and then, like, he said something about me, like, basically, like, if I didn't wanna be there, I didn't have to, and then
Mm.
it was just comments like that, my last year there, and then the story about running away I'm sick, sorry. I it was, like, one of my last high school projects my senior year. It was for, like, an economy class, and I had to do a portion of the project where I had to basically job shadow what I wanted to what I wanted to do, after I got out. And, I knew I was joining the military, and at the time I wanted to be, like, a canine dog handler. But for that project, like, I didn't know how to reach out to do that part of the project. I didn't know how to basically job shadow somebody that was in the military at the time, so I didn't my parents kinda left us alone with homework and projects, and we were just expected to do it, and if we didn't, then, whatever. But with this specific project, my I got an F on that part. So my teacher called my dad. And he picked up, and then he basically the teacher wasn't bashing me or anything, but he basically was asking if anything was going on because I got an F on this part of the project. So, I remember, like, after that phone call, oh my god, he was so mad at me. But I was basically, like, sitting at the table for about, like, I don't know, it felt like forever, like, maybe an hour or 2, and he was just going on about, like, "Oh, I don't wanna cry."
Okay, you don't have to get too into it. You don't have to get too into it. You don't have to get too
Mhm.
into it. But we basically just and I think this is every human has a breaking point, right? And I think you've reached yours there during that time mentally,
Yeah. Mhm.
and I think that's what people need to realize, that a breaking point could be anything, right? And
Right.
see, right here, and I'm not telling you, you don't have to talk to me about it, right? Because we're really
Okay.
close, and I don't need to know everything, though. I mean, you can come to me for anything, but um, it's important to let it out,
Right. Yeah.
and I know how hard certain things are. And I'm not saying that I'm relating my stuff to you or whatever, but I know how hard things can
Yeah.
be, especially if we don't
Right.
talk about stuff. And I went through the same thing with my mother. She used to always belittle me and stuff, but I was like 11.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's important that you tell, not you don't have to tell it, but you've told this story, because there are plenty of people out there that was it, man. They're
Yeah.
just so tired. They're just so tired of it, right?
Right.
They're so fed
Right.
up, and that
Yeah.
could be it's even some people, they're so fed up, they want to take their life.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and that's a real hard pill to swallow for the person that's causing that,
Yeah.
right? Like, I remember your
Mhm.
mom told me this story one time. She didn't tell me in detail like you just did, but she was
Right.
crying so much, and I was just like, I can only imagine like if my, I have my kid, but I can only imagine if my kid told me that. I
Right.
couldn't imagine it. Like they were just so mad and so upset.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but okay, so let's move on. Let's go to okay. So you're in the Air Force, right? You joined the Air Force.
Mhm. Right.
Talk briefly about how it felt to be on your own. This is like your first time on your own. I did the same thing. I joined
Right.
at 18 years old. So
Yeah.
let's talk about how briefly about how you felt.
It felt good and it felt really good. Even like in basic, it's supposed to be stressful, but I mean, whatever. It's only like a
Okay,
month, almost 2, and then you're on your own, went to tech school. And like that was fun, like having not to be, I guess, under your parents' roof for once.
shit, this is like the most fun you've ever had, probably.
Yeah, yeah. Never. I think yeah, because when I joined, I was still 18, but I couldn't drink or anything like that. But I was still like getting to hang out with friends and like not having to ask for permission or to feel bad about what I was doing, like normal things a normal human should be doing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
normal human things, dude. That's funny. Um, okay, so you chose your job. We're not gonna get deep into choosing your job or whatever.
Yeah.
But you ultimately were
Mhm.
not a canine handler, number one,
No.
right?
No.
Why couldn't you get that job?
I don't know how it is for other places, but in the Air Force, it's not like a job. It's like a special duty, basically.
Oh,
So,
okay,
and
okay.
then you have to
So you
be
basically
like security forces, which is military police, to even
be
qualify for that
considered,
job.
yeah,
Yeah.
qualified. That's good. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And so you're okay. So we'll talk about a little bit that I mean, your human resources, right? Basically.
Mhm. Right.
Okay. So let's talk about your first duty station. Okay, so you're at your what is it called, tech school or some shit like that?
Yes, tech school.
Okay, so you're at tech school, you're at the end of it, and they give you your orders. Like
Mhm.
it's a badass spot. Like I'm super like I was super jelly like when you told me like all
Yeah.
about all this. Like so you got
Mhm.
Destin, Florida, right? And
Yeah.
like how did you feel? How did you feel at first?
At the time, I was kind of hoping to go back to Alaska because I still had friends and my family well, like, still be a little bit close to my family, right? But when I found out I was going to Florida, I was excited because 'cause I've been living in Alaska for the past, what, 3, 4 years, and then when I found out I was going to Florida, I was excited, the beaches, and it was my first duty station, I didn't have any negative thoughts about it.
Okay, but this is a very important part of your life here though.
Mhm. Yeah, it
Okay,
is.
okay, so you're 18, right? You're still 18, right? When you first get there?
Mhm. Right.
So
Yes, I'm still 18.
how how long were you there before you got pregnant? So
It's so
I broke
embarrassing.
I know it's not embarrassing. I broke it out way open. Like you're
Yeah.
18.
Uh,
Okay, so how long were you there for?
before uh, before I got pregnant?
Yeah. No,
I
no,
got
yeah, yeah.
there
So when you
September
so from when you got there till you got pregnant.
yeah. So, I basically got there September 2018. I found out I was pregnant May 2019. Wait, no. Am I tri Yeah, 2019. So, within, like,
Dude, that
those
was
couple
only
months
like
it hasn't
seven
even been a
months, dude.
year. I
So okay,
know.
hold on. So okay, so were you living in the barracks or were you living in, did they give you BA student
Yeah.
housing or what?
No, I was
Yeah,
still living
what?
in the dorms. We call 'em dorms, but which are
Oh
the
shit, yeah, my
barracks,
bad.
basically. Yeah. No, but yeah, I was living in the dorms during this time. I got pregnant in the dorms.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you said it. So you got pregnant in the dorms, all right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of
Right.
people that do that. Not even in college, they get their
Mhm.
own dorms, right? So
Right.
okay, so but were you like because I know what it's like to live in the barracks. I mean, I talk to your mom about it all the time, but I'm like, dude,
Right.
it was a wild time, and like I don't know if it's like that in the Air Force, but in the Army,
Yeah.
it was super wild. Like it's like parties, freaking almost every
Yeah.
night. Like it's
Uh-huh.
just crazy. Like, and
Yeah.
was that your same experience?
Basically, yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the dorms too are also like young kids that just joined or like around the same age range. So yeah, people go crazy and just throw parties in their little dorm rooms.
Did you feel like you had to? Did you feel like how did you feel like doing stuff like that, man? Like like this is basically your first time ever doing stuff like that, right?
Mhm. It was fun. It was fun.
Obviously, yeah, it's fun, but like, did you
Yeah.
feel like this is how I was supposed to grow up, or did you have to go a little
Um,
harder because you didn't get to experience it?
yeah, I felt like also because like prior to joining and like this was my first time being away from home, like I didn't know like what to even do like when I went out to a club. Like, people dancing, I'm like, oh, that's so weird. I feel uncomfortable. Seriously, I would literally just stand there. And then I would always just like, I don't know, just do too much
Dude,
when I went out or
this doesn't
party.
even sound like you now.
Yeah.
So, and I say that because I mean I broke her out of her shell a little bit, but um, okay, so you got pregnant with Aiden in 2019, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
were you in love or what happened?
I don't know if I would say all that, but I know, like, at the time, like, I was in but by the time I got pregnant, like, I was in what I thought was a stable relationship. You know how people get pregnant and, like, oh, they keep the baby or are still pregnant with, I don't know, someone that their boyfriend or whatever. Like, I was in a relationship with my boyfriend at the time, and, um, at the time, I guess I did love him, whatever, but, uh it was still like, I got pregnant super early into the relationship to where, like, I thought that it was gonna be, like, all sweet and all good and stuff for if I kept the baby with the guy, like, it was gonna be okay.
So, okay, so let's cut forward a little bit. Let's cut forward a little bit. So you
Uh-huh,
had the
uh-huh.
baby. How, so during the pregnancy, was everything good in the relationship?
Yeah, everything was good. Mhm,
Okay, so okay, so Aiden's born. Oh, my bad. I'll cut
mhm.
that out. I'll cut that
I
out. So
think you said it
he's
earlier too.
okay, but he's okay, so he's born, right? And uh when did things start when did start things start going bad? Because at this point, right?
Um,
So you mentioned this is that you thought this was a stable relationship. Is it because
yeah.
of like but looking at it now, do you think it was a stable relationship?
I would say up until after I had him, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
did you feel like okay, so since you're okay, so I'll bring it up. So since your mother and your father, right, that their relationship, I don't know
Mhm.
how did you think that was in comparison?
Comparison to my relationship,
Yeah,
I looking at my parents' relationship, like, I always had, like, a list in my head of, "Oh, like, when I find a person, I wouldn't want them to be this way, this way." Like, I don't wanna shame anything, but I just knew, like, whatever my parents had, I did not want for myself
right.
or, like, for my kids, you know? Yeah,
Okay.
so
So let's talk about like when things started turning for the worse, right? Because
right,
this is an important story in your life because
right.
this is what 2020, right?
Mhm.
Like this is like
Right.
February, March time frame, maybe, right?
Like, after things got bad or when things
Okay,
started getting bad?
so when was he born? 2020 what? Oh,
Yeah,
so
he
January.
2020,
So okay, so
February.
what is okay, so January he started things started getting bad when?
Towards, like, a
And was
couple months after he was born.
was it
Hmm?
like that or was it a gradual?
It was definitely gradual, it wasn't, like, automatically after we had him, things went bad, but I would say he was born in January 2020, and then, maybe I remember it was, like, around the summertime, so, like, maybe late summer, July-ish of the same year, things were just yeah, things just went to shit.
Yeah, but why? What happened? Like,
Um,
what were you experiencing?
yeah. I could just te at the time, like, I can tell, like, he wasn't as, like, lovey with me, and then I remember him telling me, like, he was basically acting this way because he basically, like, got bored of me and, like, just, like at the time, he told me, like, "I always feel this way in a relationship, like, I get bored and then I act this way," and then to me, like, that was, like, the end of everything, like, I felt like, "Oh my god," like, "What am I doing wrong?" You know? And
Right.
then,
So
also
did you feel that like you were heading into the relationship that your parents had that you didn't want?
at the time, I didn't see it like that. Yeah, at the time, I didn't see it like that, but also, like, I loved him enough to try and, like, work what he said to me out, even though, like, it, like, hurt my self-esteem so much that it was, like, after he said to me, it was, like, what I was thinking about all the time, you know?
Right.
Like, it
So
makes you
okay.
insecure when your partner says something like that to you.
Yeah. I know how I know. I can I won't say I relate, but I can understand. And
Yeah.
um yeah, because I mean I think during this time me and your mother got together. We're not gonna bring up her stuff obviously, but um I remember you calling one time and you're crying and
Mhm.
and you know it's about we're not going to shame anybody but abusive relationship is a real thing and
Yep.
you know it's crazy because like and I want to say you planned it like this but your mother went through the same thing and then you ended up going through it
Right. Mhm.
and how did you feel when the physical abuse started?
Um, I so, like, it all started because I think, like, I would just I don't know, it was at the time, I didn't know, but I really do think I was going through postpartum because I would just always feel, like I couldn't turn to anyone for help. Um, so a lot of the arguments between us started because I felt like I wasn't getting enough support, and I would always just be angry because of that. Like, I remember one time I asked him to take my son to daycare because I had to go into work a little bit earlier than that, or earlier than usual, and he got
Hold on. Hey,
but
well, let's prefix. Hold on. You said my son, but it's y'all's son. So we're gonna talk about how.
our son,
So hold
yeah,
on. I bring that up. I bring that up because like, oh, man, it's hard for men to grow up. I'm not making excuses, but I mean, it's
right,
hard for men to grow up even when you have children,
mhm,
and you're asking his own dad that y'all live together. Can you take him to freaking school?
mhm,
Okay, so
yeah,
we're talking about something
mhm,
so little that sets things off. So go ahead.
right. Yeah, and then I remember, so I asked him if he can take him a little bit or take him because I had to go to work a little bit earlier. So, he did, but he made such a big deal about it after I left. He got so mad at me. I remember he was texting me like, "Could have just taken him with you," whatever it was. And then I remember the same day he was literally texting me all these mean things about how I don't know, just stuff about me being a mom and stuff. It was super hurtful stuff.
Yeah, so okay, so okay, the day you called your mom, right? I bring this event up because I was there. I wasn't physically where you were at, but I was with your
Right,
mom at the time, and you called her, and
right.
dude, I just remember you crying so hard, and that that moment, right, where you decided to call your mom and it happened, like,
Mhm,
uh, don't get into so much of what happened, but like
mhm.
emotionally, what did you feel inside? Like, I'm crap,
Um,
like what, you know?
is that like the time where the police were called?
Yeah, when I called them.
That okay. Um, I just wanna say, like, before I even called her, I don't know if she knew any of this was going on at the time. I don't. But it was, like, 2 years in to me being in that relationship and, like, me dealing with that almost every other day. Like, it took me 2 years to call somebody, and
Oh, okay. Hold on. So when y'all were dating, it was happening.
yeah, yeah, while
Okay.
we were
See,
dating,
I
while
didn't.
we were in the same house.
Okay, so it's probably like what, a year that this is going on?
Maybe a
Cause you're
little
because because
hold
you're
on.
18 and 19. You're getting your years mixed up. So
Okay.
I
Well,
think
okay, I'll
it's about
say
a year, right? Like,
it started 2020. When were the cops called? 2022?
no, no, it was 2020,
2020.
dude. It was 2020.
No, it wasn't.
I
It
called in
wasn't. I remember
2020,
it was
dude.
no, no,
Okay.
no,
Well, go ahead with your story. Go ahead. We're not gonna argue the
I
timeline here.
rem I remember
Okay.
because I moved out, and I moved out in what, 20 I moved out of our
Oh,
apartment
you
by
know why?
myself.
Because I did it twice.
Did you?
I think I did it twice, but I did it. And okay, so I don't want to. Okay, so people are gonna watch this and be like, dude, like, especially guys, some dudes out there, like, hey, before you get in their
Right,
business for or whatever. But I'm like, dude,
right.
at the time, like, they didn't hear what you were going through on the phone, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And at the and my thing is, my biggest thing for men is accountability for our actions, and
Mhm.
I don't feel like and you could just hear the pain in your voice during this time, and
Mhm.
I felt like at the time it was the right thing to do.
Right. Mhm.
And I don't know how you felt when I did it, because I never asked you, and we actually never brought it up.
That's true.
And
After the
yeah,
situation, we actually never
yeah,
talked about it.
we this is the first time we've actually ever talked about it,
Yeah,
and I don't
yeah,
know how you felt about it or what, but I mean, how did you feel when I did it? Like, and like you decided to leave and everything like that, right?
right. Mhm. Um, so yeah, at this time I was already living on my own house, and then away from that situation. So I thought, and then just one day, like he just happened to show up, and then like I think that was another breaking point because before all this, like before all these years, like I've had friends that knew about it too, and like they would see me coming to work with like I think one time I had like I don't know, not pink eye, but it was like basically like a red thing in my eye
Mark.
from a situation, and like they knew
Oh,
what was going on. Hmm?
you're talking about like a blood vessel,
Yeah, I think it popped or something.
right?
Yeah. And then like I couldn't hide it, but all my friends at the time knew what was going on, and like they wanted to say something to leadership or something to help me out, but at the time, like I begged them and beg them not to say anything because I was trying to protect my relationship at the time.
Yeah, I
So,
understand. I understand. And
when
we don't have
yeah,
to get too we don't have to get too much more into it. We don't have to get too much more into it. So
okay,
because
yeah,
you're in a better place now, and
yeah,
I just want people that are watching, men or women that have been through an abusive relationship, physically abusive relationship, that you when they say sorry, it don't mean they're not going to do it again,
right, mhm,
right? They say I love
yeah,
you. Remember I said about that term I love you, right?
right,
Like it doesn't. It's always like it. People think it's a cancellation for how mean or ugly they were to you. And
right,
it's not. It's not, right? Like, do you actually mean it or not?
right,
And usually people do that because people like say that stuff because they don't want to feel like they're the villain.
right,
And
mhm,
it's hard. It's hard for the person that is doing it to admit that they're wrong
mhm,
because we have so
right,
much pride, right?
right,
So, but yeah, so
yeah,
you're better now, and
yeah,
I'm glad you got out of that situation.
mhm, yeah.
So,
But to
like,
answer
you
your
have.
question, like I was never
Oh, go ahead.
mad at you for doing it. I think like if I didn't if I wouldn't have called you guys that night, like, who knows how long I would have been going through the same cycles, you know? Because I knew calling the police, whatever, like, I would never do it on my own, so I was never mad that you did.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know if you're happy about it,
Yeah.
but
I
I just
am.
know, that
I
I
mean,
just
I'm
knew that at the
thankful.
time. Yeah, I just knew at the time that was the right thing to do, and I felt
Yeah,
really bad because we couldn't help more.
yeah.
Um, I think I remember telling your mom, like, "Do you want to go fly over there for the weekend or something?" But I forgot what she was. I forgot why she couldn't or something like that. But
Yeah, yeah, well,
all
I'm
right.
thankful.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took being on a freaking YouTube channel for you to say thank you. But anyways, um,
Look, it was just something we didn't ever talk about.
yeah, you could always be like, Jeremy, I'm thankful for what you did.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so yeah, so you're in a better place now, right? You're
Mhm.
let's start getting into positive things. You actually know what it feels like to be loved now, right? And
Yeah.
and how does that feel? And we're not talking about by your son. We're talking about by somebody else.
It feels good. Hold on.
Does it just feel good, or does it feel like because okay? So look, I'll say this, and I'm talking a lot in this podcast, and I usually don't, but I don't want you to cry too much. So
Yeah.
your mom, man, I can't explain how much I love your mom and how much I can feel that she loves me, and it's like the best
Yeah.
feeling. It's like the best feeling in the world. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't even like people always talk about oh it's like a fucking rose garden or whatever, dude. But it really is like the
Mm.
best feeling.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
is that how you feel now? Like it's like the best feeling in the
Mhm.
world. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. Right.
Eh,
That's how I feel still. We've been together for almost a year. I think next month will be a year. But it's just like crazy because every other relationship I've had in the past is like toxic, I guess, and like super unhealthy. So coming like from those relationships, like that's all I'm used to, right?
hmm
And then
And also your parents too is not a good relationship,
right, yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly. So
because so go ahead, finish.
no. But yeah, like coming from toxic relationships like throughout all my life, whether that be relationship with my parents, whatever, and then meeting like the person that I'm with now, still a lot to get used to in like in every way from like communicating and like I don't know, just learning how to be in like a healthy relationship. Because like
Right?
I said, like none of this is or this relationship is like new to me and I'm still trying to figure out like, oh, I can't just yell at him because I'm mad. Like it's
Yeah,
not normal. Yeah.
yeah. And
It's like I have
I
to
know you.
unlearn a lot of things, but he's super patient, so
That's good. Yeah, I like
yeah.
him too. He's all right. He's all right. I like him too. And I love my grandson too, even though he thinks I don't. Okay, so we're gonna let me ask you a question though before we start wrapping things up. How did you feel when you met me? Because I'm a lot to handle, and I know I'm a lot to handle, But I
Right.
think it's important to show because like you were an adult when I came into your life, and
Mhm.
I'm with your mom, and I don't know how you think I am with your mother or whatever, but how did you feel when you met
Mhm.
me?
Um, I wasn't biased at all because, you know, everyone that met you before me was saying, "Oh, this guy's such an asshole." I was like, guess we'll see." And then when I met you, like, I knew what they were talking about, but I wouldn't consider you an asshole. It's just your personality, like you're straightforward, and like sarcastic, and that's just you. Like I know not to take everything you say seriously, and I'm not. I know like when I'm around you, not to be as sensitive. But yeah, I wasn't upset that my mom found someone new. I was actually excited for her and happy. So I mean, like meeting you, I didn't come into it thinking anything negative about you.
Well, I appreciate that because I mean, you've met all my
Mhm.
friends and family, and you know you have to have tough skin around here.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
and it's funny because I bring this up to your mom all the time. Like the worlds that like we have were fucking like you couldn't have been any more different.
Right.
And and I mean, I know that like I've gotten your mom drunk a few times and she's older and you're like freaking out. But it's just I mean
Yeah.
that's just how we are over here
Yeah.
and you
Mhm.
already know how we are. And I know I can come off as an asshole. But
Mhm.
I like to talk a lot of trash to like have fun and lighten up the mood, you know?
Right.
And I
Right.
mean I really don't have that many people complain about it really, but it's not
Yeah.
serious.
Mhm.
I don't talk trash to like personalize beat you down or anything. I don't think you've noticed
Right.
that, but it's honestly just to lighten the mood a lot because sometimes
Mhm.
when you're talking, especially like me being the outsider coming in, like
Mhm.
I mean, obviously I don't care. It's not that I don't care what everybody thinks of me, but I have to show what y'all are gonna get into too,
Right.
and obviously I have to match whatever I got over here too.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's
Yeah.
just how I am, and it's good though. I'm not worried about it too much. But I appreciate
Yeah.
that you think that you were happy that your mom found somebody new and everything. So
Yeah.
um okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this podcast up. What is Irish doing now to better Irish?
Um, just well, I don't know. Nothing too exciting right now. I mean, I'm just
Uh-huh.
working. I'm studying right now to hopefully freaking promote this year.
Right.
Uh,
And
and
what do you plan on doing? And like, do you plan on making this your life or what in like 5 years?
every day is different, but when I actually think about it, like it's what I want to do right now. Even though no matter how many times I complain, I still see this as what I'm going to be doing in the next maybe 10 years. But I mean, who knows? I mean, there's
Right.
things that I want to do like on the side. Like I know I've mentioned like lashing and esthetician, or at least getting
Hmm.
my license and going to school for it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, I'm not ignoring you. I know I keep looking away from the camera, but I'm reading my notes and I'm writing stuff. So,
that's okay.
um,
Sorry.
I mean, I say that a lot in all my podcasts. I don't know if you ever noticed. I'm like, I'm not ignoring you. I'm writing notes. So, what what makes you happy? Like, what you have a little love tank you have? Like, what makes it whole?
Mhm. I guess just being around people that I love, I guess, and I know it's corny, but like being home with my son or my boyfriend, and then just doing even just also doing things on my own too. Like I self-care.
Right.
Um,
Um,
I
I hope you feel the love when you come over here.
oh yeah,
Even I mean,
I do.
even my family and friends, they're like, I mean, it's not like they treated you any different. They just like kind of just brought you in. You're just
Yeah.
now you're just
Mhm.
here, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's pretty
going there
interesting, right?
makes me happy. I don't have to be pressured to feel, like I have to act a certain way around family, but you guys almost have the same humor, so
Yeah, it's just it's very different though. Like my family is very different from what you were used to. So
right.
all right. So okay, so let's get into this, man. We talked about give me some woman advice. If you're gonna talk to somebody out there, you're the first female on here, right? And you're young,
Mhm.
you've gotten yourself out, your headspace is better, right? Tell me give me a woman advice for somebody else out there.
Mm, I'd say, I don't know, just be okay with things always changing because the same person I was 2 years ago, I'm not the same. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but like even the person I was last year, it's always changing and there's nothing wrong with that. I
Okay,
guess
and
people like when
go ahead.
like people give you shit for like, oh, she's changed. like, like it's a bad thing. Like, no. I don't know, being at this age, like, I don't enjoy the same things that I do, like, when I first joined or, just from, even a couple months ago.
Yeah, you know it's funny. I always tell you like when you call your mom, I'm like you've changed. So it was kind of funny. Um,
Yeah.
all right. So give me some mother advice, especially you, right? It's very. So I looked up the statistic. It's about like the statistic has doubled in the past 10 years of single motherhood, and
Mhm.
teen
Yeah.
motherhood is drastically rising too, right?
Mhm.
And give some mother advice out there.
Um, just I would say have patience, but I'm still working on my patience. But I guess when I look at it, like, your kids look up to you, so just be the person and teach your kids the person that you want them to become, if that makes sense.
Hey, that's good stuff right there. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Having patience is very hard.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Uh, lover. You're finally in love. Like, how do you keep the flame going? How do you know what I mean? Like, how do you know not to say something that could trigger somebody? Like, go ahead. Some like if another
Um,
woman out there is like, there's plenty of women, right? They've had their
mhm,
parents had a shitty relationship. They went through a first shitty relationship.
mhm.
Fuck love, right? How many people are like fuck love, right? Whatever, and
Right.
and right, but it feels great when you finally get it.
Right.
And so
I would
give somebody out there some lover advice, like how do you keep that flame going? How do you keep being happy?
just I would say just really get to know your person and, I don't know, set boundaries because you don't wanna keep doing the wrong thing over and over again. Like you said, coming from 2 different, households, you can be with the person, but just I guess you can learn and act why they act the way they act, but also, just be with them and try to steer them away or, like, I don't know, I guess not teach them, but also just guide them into being and understanding more about you and how to better the relationship. Um,
That,
yeah.
no, that's good stuff right there. Where you said get to know
Mhm,
them, because how many
mhm.
people fall in love real quick? Like
Yeah.
people want
Mhm.
love, right? People want that,
Right,
and
right.
you don't. Some people don't even know their partner, and that's why divorce rate is so high.
Yeah. Mhm,
And that's good stuff right there. Like get to know them, like you really get to know them.
mhm.
You know, when he
Right.
watches this, he's really gonna know you.
Oh, I know.
So
Yes.
so okay. Um if you like right now is your time, if somebody would like to reach out to you, maybe about joining the Air Force, the job, or like, hey, I'm going through something similar, like where can they find you? Best place to find you. Go ahead.
Probably Instagram. I think you can just look up my first and last name. Irish, Irish, last name Bulatao. And my username is IRZMB. You can also
Cool.
find me on Facebook, but I use Instagram more.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right, Irish, this wraps things up. Do you have any questions for me?
Shit, I had a question, but
I have it here, but I'm not gonna
is it
tell you
on
what it
there?
is. Yeah.
Hold on, 'cause I know what it
Okay. So
is.
I'll read it out loud. It's
Okay.
what's one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self? And
Mhm,
we've mentioned this a lot in here, and I
mhm,
don't think I don't ever I never told you this, but at 20 years old, I was in Afghanistan, right? And I just experienced
mhm.
my birthday was in Afghanistan. Um, I experienced death. I went through a lot of hardship, right? And
Mhm,
I realized that 10 years later, and I say this a lot, like don't be so hard on yourself,
mhm.
and it's not your fault.
Right.
And I say that a lot because it's not, you can't control how people act. And
Yeah.
there's more to that, but I mean, it's not about me. I'm just saying that you just, it's not your fault,
Mhm.
right? You just, at the time, this is all you know, and you're just a honestly,
Right.
you're only like 3 years from being a kid.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's it, Irish. It was good talking to you. And I will catch you later.
Okay. I thank you.
Bye. All right. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please comment, like, subscribe, share it. If you need to reach out to somebody, reach out to somebody. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to Irish or the other two people that I've had in my podcast. Talk about what you're going through. And that's the biggest way we're going to connect as society because we're the biggest class in America. We're the middle class. We all have a story. We're all similar in some type of way. Just reach out to somebody and talk and get to know somebody. We're not what this news media and all this stuff is telling you that we are. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you later.